Hi guys, excuse me. We have to switch the topic back to the strike in Iran. I just want to bring two things: the international laws that I haven't seen anybody talking about this. The first one is called the Caroline test. Caroline test is not it's not a like a Caroline Channing in the Two Broken Girls, that a TV drama that I like. Um, but the Carolines actually refers to a U.S. Ship. They were supplying some stuff for Canada. It used to be back in the before the U.S. Was established, that U.S. and Canada both are rebels against the U.K. And the U.K. actually acted as a bully because UK was more stronger than the US back then. So they used the ships to sink the Caroline, the US ship. So you can tell that back then that you know today the US is the number one, the strongest country in the world, right? But don't forget that back in the history that the US was weaker than the UK. So the other test, the Caroline test, is basically they have, in the UN charters, they're talking about that, you can only defend self-defense um, only when there's like an invasion or military attack, right? But here, Caroline test is kind of a basically answer this question: can a country to do anticipatory self-defense? Or basically, to put it simply, just can we do the preemptive strikes? Okay, and then that one is very important because this one, the U.S. and Israel has been doing a lot of preemptive strikes. Basically, in the Midwest, I mean, nobody is strong enough to beat Israel. However, Israel is not never enough. They're not. They don't think that they're not happy. They just want to, you know, using preemptive strike to eliminate any and all enemies, enemy states. So that's just a very stupid policy. It's unrealistic, So, but anyway, on the other hand, we have to admit that in the Middle East, which a lot of Muslim countries, they are deeply divided, and they tend to fight against each other. So making Israel the strongest one, no problem. That we have to admit that reality. But here, back to the legitimacy of the preemptive strikes. Caroline test provide useful criteria. There are three criteria. The first one is to be like an instant. When there is a foreign threat, of instant foreign threat, okay, and also eminent. Let me see. The first one is instant. The second one is overwhelming. Okay, there's overwhelming forces and evidence to show that the enemy state is going to be having a strike attack against us. And then this third one is that there's no time for deliberation, no time to negotiate. And then, so those are the three conditions. Under those three conditions, then you can do the preemptive test, preemptive strikes. And also, there's a final one is that the strikes, the attack has to be proportionate, meaning that if well, let's come back to the reality. According to the closed door testimony of people from Pentagon, in Congress, they admitted that there's no evidence that Iran will attack the U.S. at first. So there's so you add in this together. I actually asked two, like use my always ask two AI chatbot, and they both come back with saying this is no legitimate ground for passing the Caroline test, meaning that they failed the Caroline test. Even though the UN Charter, even though let's forget about UN Charter only talk about self-defense, strict self-defense. So Caroline test is like it's like a customary test. It's customary international law, but just a lot of people are following that. So this is crucial information that we have to bring that in, bring it to the table when in a discussion. And Marco Rubio is saying that there is an imminent threat, and Trump is also saying that, but that's weak, that's pale, because if you look at the fact, not the rhetoric, not the words, then that the U.S. has no right to attack. If you think about it, the scale of this campaign, it's like a week long, like more than 1,000 target, and including those the elementary school kids, more than 100 people. So that's really a tragedy. There's no legal ground, international legal ground, to allow the U.S. to do that. But you can say, well, U.S. has been, American exceptionalism has been for decades. Who cares? Who gives a damn to international law? That's the beauty of international law. It increases the predictability, increase the stability of international orders. If the strongest country in the world, become the violation of the international law, it damages not just to the U.S. but to the entire world. Everybody now is thinking, okay, if the U.S. doesn't give a shit to the international law, why should we care? Why should we, be a model of global citizens? So that doesn't make sense. That's the danger of it. I want to stop here. The next time I talk about New York Convention on the prevention and the punishment of internationally protected person. Basically, we're talking about the surgical attack to remove the head of state. Okay, let's stop here.